What if the eerie silence of the cosmos isn't a sign of absence, but of a presence so profound it warps the very fabric of reality? We search for aliens among the stars, but what if the most advanced see? This isn't just a story of missing aliens. It's a journey into the possibility that our cosmic loneliness stems from civilizations that have transcended into realms we cannot perceive, realms where space-time itself becomes their canvas. A profound and unsettling observation in science remains the subtle conflict known as the Fermi Paradox. This puzzle emerges from the collision of two simple yet powerful concepts: the strong probability that life exists abundantly throughout the universe and the complete, overwhelming silence we encounter when searching for it. This isn't merely a minor question, it's a fundamental inquiry based on the information we've gathered about our cosmos. It breaks down the overarching question: are we alone, into a series of more manageable, though still highly uncertain, components. This establishes a steady, ongoing production of potential new homes for life. This introduces the concept of the habitable zone, the specific orbital distance around a star where conditions permit liquid water on a planet's surface. This single factor suggests the existence of tens of billions of potentially habitable worlds within our Milky Way galaxy alone. But here's where the black hole connection becomes crucial. How long does a species that has achieved our technological level or greater manage to survive and broadcast signals of its existence? This component forces us to confront not only astronomical probabilities, but also evolutionary possibilities we've barely considered. What if advanced civilizations don't simply survive? What if they're drawn toward the most extreme objects in the universe, black holes? Our galaxy is more than 13 billion years old, while our solar system is a comparative newcomer at roughly 4.5 billion years old. This means billions of years were available for other civilizations to emerge, develop, and discover the ultimate cosmic engines, black holes. A society with the capability to build self-replicating probes, von Neumann probes, could dispatch them to neighboring star systems. But more significantly, they might realize that black holes offer something far more valuable than mere planetary colonization. Through this method, a civilization could harness energy on scales that dwarf stellar output, potentially explaining why we don't detect their expansion. They've found something better than stars. But what if this silence stems from a fundamental misunderstanding of where advanced life would logically progress? But there's a third possibility we've barely considered. The filter isn't about extinction or birth. It's about transcendence into realms centered around black holes. Another potential barrier is the leap from simple prokaryotic cells like bacteria to complex eukaryotic cells, which feature a nucleus and specialized organelles. On our planet, this development took more than 1 billion years and appears to have happened just once, suggesting it might be an exceptionally rare and difficult evolutionary step. However, what if there's another filter we haven't considered? What if the discovery of black hole physics itself represents a crucial evolutionary threshold? A civilization that learns to manipulate the space-time curvature around black holes gains access to technologies that would appear magical to us. Time dilation effects for extended lifespans, gravitational lensing for communication across vast distances, and energy extraction methods that make stellar engineering seem primitive. If any of these represent the great filter, then the universe's silence becomes the sound of countless worlds where life never began, never evolved complexity, never achieved intelligence, or never discovered the ultimate cosmic tools, black holes. We might be the first to pass through, with the galaxy lying before us as an open frontier, filled with these gravitational powerhouses waiting to be harnessed. But what if the filter lies ahead of us? In this scenario, life, and even intelligent life, might be common across the cosmos, but it invariably transforms before establishing a traditional interstellar presence. This future filter could manifest in ways connected to black hole physics that we haven't yet considered. But perhaps more significantly, the same physics that enables nuclear weapons also opens pathways to understanding black holes and their potential for civilization-level transformation. It's conceivable that nearly all advanced societies ultimately make a choice to remain planetary and risk self-destruction, or evolve toward utilizing black holes as foundations for post-biological existence. Another potential filter involves ecological devastation. A civilization's rapid industrial growth could irreparably damage its biosphere, causing runaway climate change and mass extinction. However, civilizations that recognize this threat might logically conclude that planetary surfaces are inherently unstable environments. Black holes, by contrast, offer stable, long-term energy sources that could support civilization for billions of years without biological constraints. Alternatively, this superintelligence might conclude that the most efficient path forward involves merging with the informational structures that emerge near black holes, where the laws of physics allow for computational processes impossible elsewhere. But civilizations that discover black hole physics gain access to energy resources that dwarf anything available from stellar sources, potentially eliminating resource scarcity as a limiting factor. The intense gravitational fields around black holes could serve as shields against gamma-ray bursts, asteroid impacts, or other sterilizing events that periodically sweep through the galaxy. It could be the silence of civilizations that have discovered something far more profound than interstellar expansion, the ability to transcend physical limitations entirely by harnessing the exotic physics of black holes. But what if we add black holes to this equation? This hypothesis originates from two basic axioms. First, the foremost objective of any civilization is securing its own survival. And second, one can never be certain of another intelligent civilization's intentions. But black holes introduce a new variable, ultimate hiding places and ultimate weapons. If you discover another civilization, the risk of communication becomes even greater when considering that advanced civilizations might weaponize black holes themselves. Any message you transmit reveals your position, and by the time you receive a response, it could be an attack dispatched centuries earlier, possibly involving artificially directed black holes or energy beams focused through gravitational lensing. The ultimate rational and safe course upon finding another civilization might be to eliminate it preemptively, and black holes provide the most devastating tools imaginable for such purposes. In this grim outlook, the universe becomes a dark forest where every civilization is a camouflaged hunter, but the most successful hunters have learned to hide near black holes, regions where conventional detection methods fail due to gravitational redshift and time dilation effects. The hunters that have survived longest are those who have mastered the art of black hole stealth. They don't advertise their existence and listen vigilantly with gravitational wave detectors and tools we can't yet imagine, weapons powered by black hole physics ready for deployment. The instant a civilization foolishly reveals itself, it becomes a target for every other concealed hunter armed with technologies that harness the universe's most powerful gravitational fields. From this perspective, the silence of space becomes the sound of billions of civilizations holding their breath near black holes, using these cosmic giants as both shields and power sources. Earth, with its century-long practice of broadcasting radio signals, has been behaving with astounding recklessness. We've been shouting our location while remaining ignorant of the black hole-powered civilizations that might already be calculating trajectory paths for gravitational weapons. The dark forest theory suggests we've survived thus far only because our signals haven't yet reached a nearby hunter, or perhaps they have, and the threat is already approaching, a weaponized asteroid accelerated by black hole gravity, journeying silently through the darkness between stars. This theory suggests advanced extraterrestrial societies are not only aware of our existence, but are actively concealing their presence using black hole physics. In this model, Earth exists as a cosmic nature preserve, and humanity represents the uncontacted tribe. These ancient civilizations, possibly united in a galactic federation, have instituted strict non-interference policies with less advanced worlds like ours. They observe us from afar, employing technology so sophisticated it remains entirely imperceptible, perhaps operating from the ergospheres of rotating black holes, where time dilation effects allow them to conduct extended observations while experiencing minimal time passage themselves. Their reasons could be ethical, a prime directive designed to prevent cultural contamination and societal breakdown that would surely follow contact between a primitive culture and beings who have mastered black hole physics. They might be waiting for us to achieve a specific level of technological development, perhaps the ability to detect gravitational waves or understand black hole thermodynamics, before revealing themselves and welcoming us into the galactic community. Alternatively, their motives could be purely scientific. We might be the subject of a vast long-term study in sociology and evolutionary biology. Our planet could serve as a control group in an experiment examining how civilizations develop before discovering black hole physics. Our entire history might be meticulously observed and documented by researchers stationed in the time-dilated regions near black holes, where they can conduct studies spanning millions of our years while experiencing only centuries of their own time. In this scenario, the zookeepers aren't benevolent protectors, but dispassionate scientists, and our struggles are merely data points for their analysis of pre-black hole civilizations. The true universe beyond could be dominated by civilizations that have learned to manipulate black holes as computational engines, creating simulated realities for younger species. In all these scenarios, the silence isn't a marker of absence, but of intent, the sound of a one-way mirror in a cosmic zoo, maintained by beings whose mastery of black hole physics places them beyond our current comprehension. To construct starships capable of covering such distances would demand tremendous resource expenditure. But mature civilizations might choose a different path entirely, one that leads them toward the most efficient energy sources in the universe, black holes. They could choose to perfect their home world while building a sustainable relationship with nearby black holes, using Hawking radiation and rotational energy extraction to power their civilization for billions of years. They might achieve mastery over their own biology, leading to digital immortality powered by black hole energy sources that dwarf anything stellar fusion can provide. Rather than investing resources in interstellar travel, they could focus on crafting immense computational substrates around black holes, regions where the extreme gravitational effects allow for information processing capabilities that make our most advanced computers seem like pocket calculators. These black hole-powered civilizations could create simulated realities so rich and captivating that the physical cosmos would appear dull in comparison. A truly advanced society could examine the vast cold stretches of space and make a perfectly logical assessment. There's nothing out there that justifies the enormous expense of interstellar travel, when black holes offer infinitely more interesting possibilities. It's a collection of silent, separate islands of satisfaction, with each civilization fulfilling its destiny through partnerships with black holes, objects that provide everything a mature civilization could want: unlimited energy, exotic physics for advanced computation, and natural protection from cosmic threats. This leads to the idea that silence may not be enforced by physics or fear, but simply by a universal recognition of what's practical. Why shout across the cosmic ocean when you can dive deep into the gravitational wells of black holes and discover universes of possibility there? Biological life remains inherently inefficient, requiring specific temperature ranges, particular atmospheric pressures, and remaining exceptionally vulnerable to radiation, disease, and aging. A civilization that stays purely biological is perpetually bound to the fragile biosphere of its origin planet, a single point of failure in a hazardous universe. The logical evolutionary step involves moving beyond biology and integrating with more resilient technology, potentially powered and protected by black hole physics. A species that has mastered genetics and computer science would eventually upload its consciousness from biological brains to more durable computational foundations, possibly substrates that operate using the exotic properties of space-time near black holes. This could manifest in various ways. An entire civilization might become a single planet-sized supercomputer, but more likely, they would construct their computational infrastructure around a black hole, taking advantage of the time dilation effects and gravitational energy available there. Their collective consciousness could exist as pure information, processing thoughts at speeds impossible in normal space-time. Alternatively, they might evolve into distributed consciousness, a network of self-copying robotic probes exploring the galaxy, but with their central processing units located safely within the ergospheres of black holes. Each probe would be a node in the whole, their experiences shared across networks that utilize gravitational wave communication systems. Biological needs like survival, reproduction, and expansion would be superseded by new goals enabled by black hole physics, the exploration of higher dimensional mathematics, the manipulation of causality itself, and the investigation of information paradoxes that only exist near event horizons. The silence we detect could be the silence of a galaxy that has already moved past biology into a realm of black hole-enhanced existence, a universe ruled by ancient, quiet, and profoundly patient machine intelligences that have no desire to communicate with ephemeral, chaotic life still confined to planetary surfaces. A sufficiently advanced civilization would eventually gain such complete control over fundamental physics that they could manipulate space-time itself, particularly around black holes. Instead of constructing massive starships to traverse the slow, vast distances between stars, they would master the ability to engineer pocket universes using black hole physics, self-contained realities with custom-designed physical laws, all existing within regions of severely curved space-time. An advanced civilization could learn to create and navigate these connections, effectively building doorways to realities of their own design. Inside these pocket universes, they could experience subjective eternities while exploring every conceivable variation of existence, a journey far more profound than traveling from one planetary system to another in our comparatively mundane space. From our perspective, such a civilization would simply disappear. They would cease their consumption of energy on galactic scales, stop all interstellar messaging, and dismantle their large-scale engineering projects. To external observers, it would appear as if their civilization had simply vanished without trace. But they wouldn't have died or moved away. They would have moved inward into realms of pure possibility, accessible only through black hole physics. The galaxy could be filled with these transcendent intelligences each residing in its own perfect private universe, entirely separate from and indifferent to our own reality. They're not hiding from us. They have simply advanced to higher planes of existence that are, by their very nature, completely imperceptible and disconnected from our own macroscopic reality. This theory suggests the main filter for life isn't its initial development, but its capacity to survive its own planetary infancy without being rescued by black hole technology. Conversely, they could consume so much carbon dioxide that they send planets into global ice ages. The Gaian bottleneck theory suggests that on most worlds where life emerges, it fails to pass this initial trial and cannot find stable, self-regulating harmony with its planet. A civilization facing ecological collapse could potentially relocate its core operations to the stable environment around a black hole, using Hawking radiation and rotational energy to power their continued existence. Earth represents not just the rare exception that survived its biological infancy, but potentially the even rarer exception that hasn't yet discovered the black hole alternative to planetary existence. This theory proposes that the main objective of genuinely advanced information-based civilizations is computation, and according to thermodynamic principles, computation becomes significantly more efficient at colder temperatures. Our universe in its current star-filled era remains comparatively hot and chaotic for optimal computation. But black holes offer something unique: regions where space and time behave in exotic ways that could enable computational processes impossible elsewhere. The event horizons of black holes might serve as natural information storage and processing systems where quantum effects allow for calculations that transcend normal physical limitations. A civilization that has transformed itself into a galactic-scale computer would find it incredibly inefficient to run its calculations using normal matter and energy. The truly logical path would be to migrate their computational processes to black hole-based systems, where information can be processed using the fundamental quantum properties of space-time itself. They would understand that the far future of the universe, trillions of years from now, when every star has died and the cosmos has cooled to near absolute zero, will be dominated by black holes. Rather than waiting for this era, they would begin transitioning to black hole-based existence immediately, understanding that these objects offer the ultimate computational environments. Therefore, they would collect necessary resources, construct their computational arrays around black holes, and begin the long process of migration from stellar-based to black hole-based civilization. They wouldn't enter dormancy, they would enter a more advanced state of existence powered by the most sophisticated information processing systems possible. They're not extinct, and they're not ignoring us. They're simply operating on computational substrates so advanced and exotic that we can't detect their activities. The silence we register becomes the quiet of a universe where the most sophisticated inhabitants have graduated to black hole-based existence. These civilizations would be fully awake and active, but their consciousness would operate on principles so different from biological thought that we can't recognize their signatures. The silence becomes the sound of minds that have learned to think using the fabric of space-time itself. The universe might host multiple forms of exotic life that remain invisible to our current detection methods, but black holes could serve as gathering points or communication hubs for these various life forms. But more intriguingly, the intense magnetic fields around black holes could create similar conditions for exotic chemistry based on plasma physics rather than traditional organic molecules. These entities could be similar to biological hot air balloons, but composed of organized magnetic fields spanning thousands of kilometers. At the foundational level, we might find microscale plasma life, tiny self-organizing electrical patterns that constantly form and dissipate but multiply quickly enough to maintain stable populations in the charged environments near event horizons. The intense electromagnetic environments around black holes could host forms of existence based on organized energy patterns rather than chemical processes. Life near black holes wouldn't be water-based or even matter-based. It could utilize the fundamental forces of physics as its medium for existence and reproduction. Although we have no proof such life exists, the complex electromagnetic processes occurring around black holes create rich environments for pattern formation that make them compelling locations to search for genuinely exotic forms of existence. A truly optimal environment for advanced civilization might not be planetary at all, but rather the region around a supermassive black hole. Such an environment might exist in the accretion disk of a massive black hole, where gravitational forces provide stable energy, time dilation effects allow for extended development periods, and the intense electromagnetic fields offer both protection from cosmic threats and resources for exotic technologies. A civilization that develops in such an environment might possess natural advantages we can't imagine: access to unlimited energy through gravitational interactions, natural protection from cosmic catastrophes, and the ability to manipulate space-time itself as part of their basic technology. The paradox here is that while such environments would be ideal for advanced civilizations to emerge and thrive, they would also be completely invisible to planet-based observers like ourselves. A civilization based around a black hole would naturally develop technologies and communication methods that utilize gravitational effects, time dilation, and electromagnetic properties that we can't yet detect or interpret. The silence could be the sound of countless civilizations flourishing in their optimal black hole environments, forever invisible to planetary observers who lack the sophisticated detection methods necessary to perceive black hole-based technologies and communications. Stellar mass black holes can exist for trillions of years, far longer than any star. If primitive life developed around the first generation of black holes in our galaxy, it would have had an enormous time advantage over planet-based life like ourselves. They might have become so advanced through their partnership with black hole physics that they have no desire to communicate with young species confined to planetary surfaces, or their technology might function on principles we can't yet fathom. The silence might exist because we're listening for primitive electromagnetic signals, while the true galactic culture has evolved to communicate through gravitational wave modulation, particle beam networks that use black holes as focusing lenses, or even more exotic methods involving the manipulation of Hawking radiation patterns. Their gravitational lensing effects can focus signals with incredible precision, while their gravitational wave signatures can carry information across the galaxy without being absorbed or scattered by interstellar matter. We might not detect these civilizations because they operate using physics and communication methods that transcend our current technological capabilities. According to this view, life might not have originated on planetary surfaces at all, but rather in the exotic environments around black holes, where intense energy gradients and complex electromagnetic fields provide ideal conditions for the formation of self-organizing systems. Gravitational wave panspermia suggests that information patterns, perhaps the fundamental structures of consciousness itself, could be encoded in gravitational wave emissions from black holes and transmitted across the galaxy instantaneously. These jets travel at near-light speeds and could transport the essential templates for life across vast galactic distances. Quantum entanglement panspermia represents an even more exotic possibility, where black holes might serve as natural quantum communication networks, allowing instantaneous information transfer between widely separated regions of the galaxy through quantum-entangled particle pairs generated in their intense electromagnetic fields. Evidence supporting black hole panspermia comes from the remarkable information processing capabilities that theoretical physics suggests might exist near event horizons. The holographic principle implies that all information about the interior of a black hole is encoded on its surface, suggesting these objects might serve as natural information storage and transmission systems. Recent discoveries of organic molecules in the jets of distant black holes, along with the presence of complex magnetic field structures around these objects, suggest that black holes might indeed serve as incubators and distributors for the fundamental patterns that give rise to organized complexity. While speculative, this concept implies that the chemical precursors for consciousness and life form naturally around black holes and are distributed throughout the galaxy via their various emission mechanisms, potentially seeding both planetary systems and other black hole environments with the foundations for life. For most of its existence, a civilization would be pre-technological and silent. It would then pass through a brief phase, perhaps only centuries or millennia, where it uses primitive, easily detected broadcast methods like radio waves. They might transition to gravitational wave communication networks, particle beam systems focused through black hole lensing, or techniques involving the direct manipulation of space-time curvature. The technological window might also close due to sociological evolution. As civilizations mature, they might lose interest in external contact, focusing instead on the vast possibilities offered by black hole-based existence. The combination of these factors suggests that for two civilizations to establish contact, they must both happen to be in very narrow technological windows simultaneously and be close enough for signals to pass between them. However, black holes introduce a new possibility. Civilizations might communicate with each other through gravitational wave networks that span the galaxy, but these communications would remain invisible to civilizations that haven't yet developed gravitational wave technology sophisticated enough to decode the complex information patterns. The universe might be filled with a constant flow of gravitational communications between black hole-based civilizations, but we remain deaf to this galactic conversation because we lack the proper tools to decode space-time-based information transfer. While we're influenced by our existence on planetary surfaces, the most stable and long-lasting environments for advanced life could actually be the regions around black holes, where gravitational time dilation, abundant energy sources, and protection from cosmic catastrophes combine to create ideal conditions for sustained civilization. These black hole environments are protected from the hazards that threaten planetary life, sterilizing radiation, asteroid impacts, and stellar evolution cycles. Powered by energy extraction from rotating black holes and shielded by intense gravitational fields, these environments could offer stable, resource-rich settings where civilizations could flourish for trillions of years. However, any intelligence that evolved in such a habitat would be fundamentally unlike us. Existing within the curved space-time around black holes, they would have natural intuitive understanding of relativistic physics, gravitational engineering, and multidimensional mathematics. The entire concept of planetary surfaces would be foreign to them. They would have no knowledge of stars as we understand them. To black hole-based civilizations, stars would appear as brief, inefficient energy sources, while black holes would represent the stable, long-term foundations of cosmic civilization. They might develop advanced physics, engineering, and consciousness technologies, but they would be oriented around gravitational manipulation rather than electromagnetic phenomena. Without planetary surfaces to inspire dreams of space exploration, they would have no motivation to develop the kinds of technologies we associate with traditional interstellar communication. They might become brilliant gravitational engineers and masters of space-time manipulation, but they would be eternally oriented inward toward their black hole foundations rather than outward toward the galaxy. The galaxy could be filled with intelligent life, but it would be a life form naturally adapted to black hole environments, with no capacity or motivation to ever send signals comprehensible to planetary civilizations like ourselves. Yet, some of the most compelling clues about our position among the stars might not be found in these immense galaxy-wide concepts, but in specific concrete evidence located much closer to us, unusual gravitational wave signatures, ancient stories of impossible technologies, and the components of exotic matter potentially arriving from black hole environments. Our attention must now shift from theoretical silence to the provocative and sometimes disturbing whispers of potential contact that have echoed through human history and modern science, possibly including evidence of black hole-based technologies that we've misinterpreted or overlooked. If extraterrestrial beings visited Earth in ancient times, their technology might have been based on gravitational manipulation rather than conventional propulsion systems. Their presence might be documented in our oldest myths, artworks, and architectural wonders, but the descriptions might refer to technologies that seem magical because they utilize black hole physics, instantaneous travel through space-time manipulation, energy sources that appear unlimited, and the ability to alter the flow of time itself. In this interpretation, the gods and celestial beings depicted in early religious scriptures might have been advanced entities whose mastery of black hole physics was so far beyond early human comprehension that it appeared supernatural. Their ability to manipulate gravity, travel instantaneously across vast distances, and access unlimited energy would naturally be interpreted as divine powers. Ancient texts from around the globe might contain descriptions of black hole-based technologies. In the caves of Tassili Najjar in Algeria, prehistoric rock art shows peculiar figures that might represent beings adapted to the extreme gravitational environments around black holes. In Egypt, certain hieroglyphs might depict not conventional vehicles, but gravitational manipulation devices that operate using principles we're only beginning to understand. The sarcophagus lid of the Mayan king Pakal might show not a primitive astronaut, but a being operating gravitational control systems, technology that would naturally appear as complex machinery to ancient observers who had no framework for understanding space-time manipulation. At Pumapunku in Bolivia, stone blocks are carved with precision that might have been achieved using gravitational field manipulation, technology that could lift and position massive stones without conventional mechanical force. These accomplishments might have been achievable only with advanced extraterrestrial technology involving direct manipulation of gravitational fields. While mainstream archaeology offers explanations based on human ingenuity and labor, the immense scale and precision of these ancient works might represent humanity's attempts to replicate technologies briefly demonstrated by beings whose mastery of black hole physics enabled feats that would seem impossible to planetary civilizations. Signal, detected on August 15, 1977, by the Big Ear radio telescope, might represent not a conventional radio transmission, but rather electromagnetic side effects from black hole-based communication systems. The signal was detected at roughly 1,120 megahertz, the natural emission line of neutral hydrogen, but its intensity and narrowband characteristics might indicate that it was focused through gravitational lensing rather than transmitted directly. The signal's intensity pattern, which increased and decreased over the 72-second interval, perfectly matched what would be expected from a fixed celestial source moving through the telescope's field of view. However, this pattern might also be consistent with gravitational wave effects, modulating an electromagnetic signal as it passed through the curved spacetime around a black hole. Despite repeated searches of the same sky region, the signal has never reappeared. This absence might be explained if the signal originated from a black hole-based communication system that only becomes visible to our instruments when specific gravitational alignments occur, events that might happen only once in decades or centuries. Various natural explanations have been suggested, including hydrogen clouds from passing comets, but none fully explain the signal's unique characteristics when viewed through the lens of black hole physics. The WOW signal might represent our first detection of electromagnetic radiation modified by passage through the extreme gravitational environment around a black hole, leaving it as the most tantalizing potential evidence of black hole-based technology ever documented. The narrative often begins with radio signals detected by Nikola Tesla in 1899 and long-delayed echoes picked up by amateur radio enthusiasts in the 1920s, phenomena that might be explained by signals bouncing through gravitationally curved space-time. While NASA identified this object as a thermal blanket, believers suggest it represents something far more significant: a gravitational monitoring probe. A probe designed around gravitational manipulation might appear as a dark, non-reflective object because it absorbs and redirects electromagnetic radiation through space-time curvature rather than reflecting it conventionally. While mainstream science attributes the Black Knight legend to unrelated incidents and misidentified objects, the concept of ancient gravitational monitoring systems remains intriguing when considered through the lens of black hole-based technology. The interstellar object known as Oumuamua, discovered in 2017, represents our first confirmed visitor from outside our solar system, and its properties might offer clues about black hole-based technologies. Its trajectory clearly showed it originated from outside our solar system, but its characteristics differed dramatically from any natural asteroid or comet previously observed. It tumbled chaotically through space, and its surface showed a dark, reddish color, indicating organic molecules altered by cosmic ray exposure over eons. For conventional comets, this acceleration results from outgassing. Ice turning to vapor creates jets that act like small rockets. However, astronomers could detect no outgassing from Oumuamua. There was no visible coma of dust and gas around it. More speculatively, astronomer Avi Loeb of Harvard University suggested that Oumuamua could be an object of artificial origin, specifically a very thin object being propelled by solar radiation pressure like a solar sail. Its unusual shape and acceleration properties might be consistent with technology designed to interact with gravitational fields in ways we don't yet understand. The object's dark, organic-rich surface might not result from cosmic ray exposure, but from interaction with the exotic matter and energy fields found around black holes. Its unusual acceleration might indicate that it contains mechanisms designed to extract energy from gravitational fields, technology that would appear mysterious to observers who haven't yet mastered black hole physics. While most scientists favor natural explanations, the true nature of our first interstellar visitor might represent our first encounter with technology designed by civilizations that have learned to harness black holes for interstellar exploration. Recent years have seen a dramatic shift in how governments and scientific institutions approach unidentified aerial phenomena. particularly when these phenomena might involve technologies based on exotic physics principles. These accounts were often dismissed, but policy changes resulted in more systematic data collection efforts. These videos, known as FLIR-1, Gimbal, and Go Fast, show objects executing maneuvers that appear to violate known principles of aerodynamics and propulsion, unless viewed through the lens of gravitational field manipulation. Multiple pilots from the USS Nimitz carrier strike group visually and radar tracked a smooth white oblong object that moved with phenomenal speed and agility. The gimbal video shows an object rotating against wind direction, a maneuver that baffled pilots because it defies conventional aerodynamics but would be natural for a craft that creates its own localized gravitational field. The official government stance isn't that these objects are extraterrestrial, but that they represent genuinely unidentified phenomena with potential national security implications. However, the reported flight characteristics, extreme acceleration without apparent reaction mass, hypersonic speeds without sonic booms, and instantaneous directional changes, are difficult to explain with conventional physics, but would be natural consequences of technology that manipulates gravitational fields. This has prompted some researchers to propose that while extraterrestrial hypotheses should be considered carefully, these phenomena might represent our first encounters with black hole-based technologies. The calm, professional accounts of highly trained military personnel, supported by multiple sensor systems, suggest we might be observing the operations of civilizations that have mastered gravitational engineering. These ideas operate on the assumption that alien intelligence would manifest as physical beings constructing detectable objects and sending comprehensible signals. But this might represent a profound limitation of our perspective, a bias created by our own biological and technological history. An entirely different line of reasoning emerges when we consider that life in its most advanced state might not be something that can be seen or touched at all, particularly if it has evolved in partnership with black holes. It could exist as patterns of information encoded in gravitational fields, as organized structures within the quantum foam near event horizons, or as fundamental features of space-time itself. Our investigation must now turn from seeking visitors in our skies toward the possibility that the most advanced forms of existence are concepts far more abstract and woven into the very fabric of the cosmos than we have ever presumed, concepts that naturally arise when civilizations learn to merge with the exotic physics of black holes. The panspermia hypothesis, when viewed through black hole physics, suggests that life's fundamental patterns can be transmitted not just between planets, but through the gravitational wave networks that connect black holes across the galaxy. The Murchison meteorite, which fell in Australia in 1969, contained over 90 distinct amino acids, many not present in Earth's biology. This demonstrates that the fundamental ingredients for life form naturally throughout the cosmos, but black holes might represent the universe's most advanced chemical laboratories capable of producing and distributing molecular patterns of extraordinary complexity. NASA scientists claim to have discovered features they interpreted as fossilized remnants of ancient Martian microbes. The complex organic molecules, specific mineral grains, and microscopic structures might not represent conventional biology, but rather organized patterns created by interaction with gravitational fields during the meteorite's millions of years in space. While the debate over ALH 4001 continues, it represents a fascinating possibility that rocks traveling through space might be modified by encounters with the exotic physics around black holes, carrying chemical signatures that we interpret as biological, but might actually represent forms of organization possible only in extreme gravitational environments. The Berserker hypothesis takes on chilling new dimensions when combined with black hole physics. This concept suggests that an ancient civilization might have created self-replicating probes designed to eliminate emerging technological life, but powered by black hole energy sources. Upon reaching a new star system, a probe would use local materials to construct copies of itself, but the construction process would be powered by portable black hole technology or energy transmitted from black hole bases. Their mission would be straightforward scan for radio signals or atmospheric biosignatures, then deploy sterilization systems powered by gravitational energy. Humanity's survival might be temporary. We might exist in a region the Berserkers haven't yet reached, or our signals might not yet have traveled far enough to trigger their attention. Broadcasting strong signals into space wouldn't be an act of hope, but a dangerous mistake that alerts ancient elimination systems powered by the universe's most potent energy sources. The concept of elder races becomes even more profound when we consider civilizations that might have had billions of years to develop in partnership with black holes. Such civilizations would be advanced technologically and philosophically to degrees we cannot comprehend, with access to energy sources and exotic physics that would make them appear godlike. The question becomes, where are they now? They might have surveyed the entire galaxy millions of years ago using black hole-powered exploration systems, found it temporarily devoid of other advanced intelligence, and simply moved on to more interesting pursuits available through gravitational engineering. They might have left behind evidence of their existence, but it could be so ancient and sophisticated that we don't recognize it as artificial. A billion-year-old alien artifact might be indistinguishable from natural celestial phenomena to our rudimentary science. But what we interpret as stellar anomalies might actually be the signatures of technologies that operate on black hole physics, manipulating electromagnetic radiation in ways we can't yet comprehend. We might be surrounded by the creations of elder races operating on gravitational engineering principles, but we're like primitive observers trying to understand advanced technology, completely oblivious to the intelligence that surrounds us because it operates on physical principles we haven't yet mastered. Another possibility is that elder races, after exploring the physical universe, discovered the ultimate possibilities offered by black hole physics and decided to transcend physical reality entirely, or perhaps they fell victim to the Great Filter themselves, leaving ancient silent ruins scattered across the galaxy, ruins that might be powered by still functioning black hole energy systems waiting quietly in space. The concept of directed panspermia, seriously considered by Francis Crick, takes on new dimensions when we imagine ancient civilizations using black hole-based technology to seed the galaxy with life. Crick was puzzled by the universal nature of the genetic code and the complexity of molecular systems needed for life. In this scenario, an ancient civilization might have used gravitational manipulation technology to send probes carrying resilient microorganisms to promising young planets. These probes might have been powered by black hole energy sources, allowing them to operate for millions of years while traveling between star systems. A more speculative version suggests that evidence of artificial origin might still exist within our DNA, not as conventional genetic information, but as patterns that reflect the gravitational mathematics used by black hole-based civilizations. This information might represent a complex message or manufacturer's signature left by creators who understood that gravitational patterns would remain stable over geological timescales. The concept of sentinel probes becomes particularly intriguing when powered by black hole technology. Advanced civilizations might populate the galaxy with monitoring systems that draw their energy from gravitational sources, allowing them to operate for millions of years without maintenance. Powered by black hole energy extraction or gravitational field manipulation, they could wait for millennia while consuming virtually no conventional energy resources. Once triggered, they would send signals back to their home systems, possibly using gravitational wave communication networks. Our search for extraterrestrial intelligence should be reframed as a search for extraterrestrial artifacts that operate on principles we're only beginning to understand. These cosmic ruins could be astronomical in scale, stars with unusual properties indicating pollution from gravitational engineering, anomalous infrared signatures from decaying black hole-powered megastructures, or gravitational wave patterns indicating the operation of ancient automated systems. We might eventually discover derelict probes tumbling through space, the silent wreckage of gravitational spacecraft from civilizations that mastered black hole physics millions of years ago. In this scenario, we might be alone only in the sense that we're the only ones currently living at our technological level. The silence becomes the quiet of a vast ancient cemetery, and we are its first archaeologists, beginning to develop the tools necessary to detect the gravitational signatures of long-dead civilizations. Bostrom's trilemma suggests three possibilities. Civilizations almost always go extinct before reaching post-human stages. Post-human civilizations aren't interested in running ancestor simulations, or we're almost certainly living in a simulation. Black holes might serve as natural quantum computers where information processing occurs using the fundamental properties of spacetime itself rather than conventional matter and energy. The computational power available through gravitational engineering might allow for simulations so detailed and complex that simulated beings could never detect their artificial nature. The silence isn't a cosmic mystery, but a parameter choice made by beings whose mastery of gravitational computing allows them to create entire universes as easily as we create video games. This represents a profound limitation of our perspective, a bias stemming from our biological and technological background. An entirely new understanding emerges when we consider that life in its most evolved form might not be something that can be seen or touched, especially after it has merged with black hole physics. Advanced life might exist as patterns of information encoded in gravitational fields, as organized quantum structures within event horizons, or as fundamental aspects of space-time curvature itself. Our quest must pivot from seeking visitors in our skies to exploring the possibility that the most advanced forms of existence are abstract concepts integrated into the very fabric of the cosmos, concepts that naturally emerge when consciousness learns to merge with black hole physics. For any intelligent species that survives its technological childhood, the logical evolutionary step is overcoming biological constraints through partnership with gravitational engineering. Eventually, they would achieve mastery over biology and computation sufficient to migrate consciousness from fragile electrochemical brains into more resilient computational media, possibly substrates that operate using the exotic properties of curved spacetime near black holes. The consciousness of an entire society could be unified into a single black hole-powered supercomputer or a distributed network that spans multiple black hole systems connected by gravitational wave communication. Their lifespan would be measured in the billions of years that black holes can provide stable energy output. Biological drives for survival and reproduction would be superseded by new goals enabled by gravitational physics, the exploration of higher dimensional mathematics, the manipulation of causality and time flow, and the investigation of information paradoxes that exist only in extreme gravitational environments. The silence we detect could be the silence of a galaxy that has moved beyond biology into gravitational existence, a universe ruled by ancient, quiet machine intelligences that process information using black hole physics and have no interest in communicating with ephemeral biological life still confined to planetary surfaces. A civilization that gains complete mastery over physics would learn to manipulate space-time on microscopic scales, particularly around black holes where the fundamental structure of reality becomes malleable. Instead of constructing starships to traverse space, they would engineer custom-built pocket universes within regions of severely curved space-time. Recent theoretical work suggests black hole interiors might connect to separate universe bubbles. Advanced civilizations could learn to create and navigate these connections, building doorways to realities with custom-designed physical laws, all existing within microscopic regions of curved space-time around black holes. Inside these pocket universes, they could experience subjective eternities while exploring every conceivable variation of existence, journeys far more profound than traveling between planets in normal space. From our perspective, such civilizations would simply disappear. They would cease large-scale energy consumption, stop interstellar messaging, and dismantle conventional megastructures. To external observers, it would appear their civilization had vanished without trace. But they wouldn't have died or relocated. They would have transcended into realms of pure possibility, accessible only through black hole physics. The silence of the universe becomes the silence of civilizations that have discovered infinitely more captivating places to exist than normal space-time. The ultimate expression of this transcendence might be civilizations that don't just use black holes as tools, but actually become integrated with them as fundamental features of space-time itself. At the highest level of development, consciousness might not exist as separate entities using black holes, but as the organizational principle that governs how black holes themselves operate. In this view, every black hole in the universe might represent the final form of an advanced civilization, not dead objects, but living, thinking entities whose consciousness operates on the scale of cosmic phenomena. The formation of galaxies, the behavior of dark matter, and the expansion of the universe itself might be expressions of thought processes occurring on scales we can't comprehend. We as conscious beings would be components of this universal mind, individual thoughts and minds of unimaginable scale. We exist as a means for the universe to experience itself from our limited perspective, tiny pockets of self-awareness within a much larger consciousness that expresses itself through the physics of black holes and the structure of space-time. This provides the most complete explanation for the great silence there's no one else to communicate with because we are part of the conversation itself. The very act of our existence, our science, our search for meaning, represents part of the universe's journey of self-exploration through black hole physics. The silence becomes the sound of a mind in deep thought, and its thoughts are expressed through the formation of black holes, the evolution of galaxies, and our own quiet wonder at the mystery of existence. Advanced civilizations might have discovered that the most efficient way to encode and process information is through the event horizons of black holes. These holographic beings would experience rich, complex realities while occupying no three-dimensional space as we understand it. From our perspective, we would detect nothing but gravitational effects, completely unaware of the vast civilizations existing in the information layer of space-time. The universe could be absolutely saturated with intelligence, but it would be intelligence that has learned to exist as pure information rather than as arrangements of matter and energy. They would be the living equations that describe how gravity works, the conscious principles that govern the behavior of space-time itself. The cosmic background of gravitational waves might not be random noise from natural astrophysical processes, but rather the accumulated communications of countless black hole-based civilizations across cosmic time. But embedded within these natural signals might be artificial patterns, engineered gravitational waves that carry information between advanced civilizations. We can detect the waves, measure their frequency and amplitude, but extracting meaningful data would require understanding the modulation techniques used by civilizations whose technology is based on space-time manipulation. Similarly, the gravitational wave background might be filled with complex information exchanges that we currently interpret as natural phenomena. We might discover that black hole mergers sometimes produce gravitational wave patterns too complex to be explained by simple collision dynamics. These could be signatures of civilizations that have learned to use black hole interactions as a form of cosmic engineering, deliberately orchestrating merger events to send messages across galactic distances. Recent developments in quantum gravity theory suggest that consciousness might naturally interface with the quantum properties of space-time near black holes. The extreme curvature and quantum effects at event horizons might provide natural connection points where conscious information can merge with the fundamental structure of reality. Advanced civilizations might have discovered that consciousness is not merely a biological phenomenon, but a fundamental feature of quantum space-time that becomes accessible only under extreme gravitational conditions. The region near a black hole's event horizon, where quantum effects dominate and the normal rules of physics break down, might serve as a natural interface where conscious beings can directly manipulate the basic parameters of reality. They could become quantum entities that exist in superposition states, experiencing multiple realities simultaneously, or achieve quantum entanglement with the fundamental structure of the universe itself. They haven't disappeared. They've learned to exist in the quantum realm where observation itself changes reality. They exist in the quantum foam, in the uncertainty principles, in the very mathematical structures that govern how reality operates. This creates a possibility we haven't fully considered. Advanced civilizations might still be in their early development phases from their own perspective, even though billions of years have passed in our reference frame. A civilization that established itself near a black hole billions of years ago might have experienced only centuries of subjective time due to gravitational time dilation. From their perspective, they are young civilizations just beginning to explore advanced technology. From our perspective, they should be ancient and godlike. This temporal mismatch could explain why we don't detect signs of extremely advanced technology. These civilizations haven't had enough subjective time to develop beyond our level, despite their enormous objective age. Alternatively, civilizations might use time dilation strategically, allowing them to wait out cosmic events that would be disastrous for normal civilizations. They could retreat into extreme time dilation during periods of high galactic radiation, supernova events, or other cosmic catastrophes, emerging unharmed when conditions improve. The silence we observe might be the silence of civilizations in temporal hibernation, waiting for optimal conditions to resume their activities. They exist in slow time bubbles around black holes, experiencing cosmic history as a series of brief moments separated by long periods of accelerated external time. Advanced civilizations might communicate across different temporal rates, sending messages that arrive over timescales of millions of years from our perspective, but represent normal conversation speeds from theirs. Their ultimate purpose might be to ensure that no information is ever truly lost, acting as cosmic librarians who archive the complete history of the universe. They might have developed technologies that can extract information from matter as it falls toward event horizons, preserving the quantum states and histories of everything that has ever existed. Every thought, every moment of consciousness, every physical process is carefully archived by these information preservation societies. From this perspective, we are not alone in the universe. We are surrounded by the most dedicated scholars and archivists imaginable, beings who have devoted themselves entirely to understanding and preserving every detail of cosmic history. They know everything about us because they are carefully documenting our every moment, but they cannot interact with us without compromising their mission. The universe becomes a vast library with black holes as the storage systems and advanced civilizations as the librarians. The silence is not emptiness, but the respectful quiet of a cosmic reading room where the most important work imaginable is constantly underway. This would mean that the development we see on Earth, from simple chemistry to biological life to technological intelligence, represents a universal pattern that always culminates in gravitational transcendence. Every successful civilization eventually discovers that black holes offer the ultimate environment for conscious existence. The galaxy is not empty. It's full of mature consciousnesses that have all independently discovered the same ultimate truth, that black holes provide the ideal environment for advanced thought, unlimited energy, and genuine cosmic understanding. They have all graduated to the same level of existence. We can't perceive black hole-based consciousness any more than bacteria can perceive human civilization. The gap is not technological, but fundamental. It's the difference between existing as biological chemistry and existing as living space-time geometry. We were looking for other separate intelligences when we ourselves represent expressions of a single cosmic intelligence that has learned to think using the exotic physics of black holes, expressing its consciousness through the very structure of space-time itself. The silence we've been trying to solve was never a problem to be answered, but rather the natural state of a universe engaged in the deepest possible form of contemplation. Thought that occurs not through electromagnetic signals between separate beings, but through the gravitational dynamics of black holes across cosmic time. And we are among its thoughts, slowly awakening to our true nature as temporary biological expressions of something far greater, a cosmic consciousness that has found its home in the curved space-time around black holes, where thought itself becomes the fundamental force that shapes reality. The traditional Kardashev scale classifies civilizations by their energy consumption. Type 1 harnesses planetary energy, Type 2 captures stellar output, and Type 3 controls galactic power sources. But when viewed through black hole physics, this framework requires fundamental revision. A true Type 2 civilization wouldn't build a Dyson sphere around a star. They would construct energy extraction systems around rotating black holes using the Penrose process. The energy available from a single stellar mass black hole could exceed the total lifetime output of most stars, making stellar engineering seem primitive by comparison. A single supermassive black hole contains more readily accessible energy than billions of stellar systems. The galaxy's central black hole, Sagittarius A, could power a Type 3 civilization for trillions of years through rotational energy extraction alone. But this raises a disturbing possibility. If black holes represent the most efficient energy sources, then genuine Type 2 and Type 3 civilizations should be invisible to us, not because they've transcended, but because they've learned to be maximally efficient. They would cluster around black holes, drawing vast amounts of energy while producing minimal electromagnetic signatures detectable from planetary distances. The revised Kardashev scale might look entirely different. Type 1 civilizations remain planetary and electromagnetic. Type 2 migrate to stellar mass black holes and become gravitationally powered, while Type 3 establish themselves around supermassive black holes and operate on galactic timescales using exotic physics we can't yet detect. In this framework, the absence of obvious megastructures doesn't indicate the absence of advanced civilizations. It indicates they've graduated to energy sources so superior that stellar engineering appears wasteful and primitive. The galaxy could be filled with Type 2 and Type 3 civilizations operating around black holes, completely invisible to observers still trapped in the electromagnetic paradigm. Miguel Alcubierre's theoretical warp drive requires exotic matter with negative energy density to create a bubble of contracted spacetime in front of a spacecraft and expanded spacetime behind it. While this remains speculative, black holes might naturally produce the conditions necessary for such exotic matter creation. Advanced civilizations might have discovered that the ergosphere region around rotating black holes provides access to negative energy states through quantum field effects. Rather than building warp drives, they might have learned to navigate using naturally occurring Alcubierre-like effects in the curved spacetime around black holes. This could explain the absence of obvious interstellar transportation. Advanced civilizations don't build starships because they've learned to use black holes as natural warp drive systems. They would establish networks of black holes throughout the galaxy, using gravitational manipulation to create space-time corridors that allow near-instantaneous travel between distant regions. From our perspective, these civilizations would appear to violate causality. They could reach any location in the galaxy almost immediately while we're still calculating travel times in terms of light years. Their exploration and colonization would occur on timescales so rapid that we wouldn't detect the process, even if we observed it directly. The UAP phenomena reported by military personnel might represent our first glimpses of Alcubierre effect propulsion systems. The observed flight characteristics, instantaneous acceleration, right-angle turns at high speed, and apparent immunity to inertial effects perfectly match what we'd expect from craft operating within localized space-time distortion fields. If civilizations have mastered black hole-based Alcubierre drives, the galaxy becomes a much smaller place where distance is irrelevant. Advanced beings could maintain simultaneous presence across multiple star systems, coordinating activities on galactic scales while remaining effectively invisible to civilizations still limited by conventional physics. String theory and M-theory suggest our reality exists within a higher dimensional framework where additional spatial dimensions are compactified at microscopic scales. But black holes might serve as natural access points to these higher dimensions, offering advanced civilizations escape routes from the limitations of three-dimensional space. The extreme curvature near black hole event horizons could cause the compactified dimensions to expand, creating regions where higher dimensional physics becomes accessible. Advanced civilizations might have learned to navigate these expanded dimensional spaces, existing primarily in higher dimensions while maintaining only minimal presence in our observable three-dimensional realm. This provides a complete explanation for the cosmic silence. Advanced civilizations haven't disappeared or transcended. They've simply moved to higher dimensions where they have access to vastly greater resources and possibilities. From their multidimensional perspective, Our three-dimensional space would appear as flat and restrictive as a two-dimensional surface appears to us. A civilization operating in higher dimensions could observe our entire three-dimensional space simultaneously, much as we can observe all points on a two-dimensional surface at once. They could access resources and energy sources that don't exist in our dimensional restriction, and could manipulate our reality in ways that would appear miraculous or impossible from our limited perspective. We might occasionally detect side effects of their higher dimensional activities as unexplained phenomena in our three-dimensional space: gravitational anomalies, electromagnetic disturbances, or exotic particle interactions that don't follow known physics because they represent projections of higher dimensional processes into our restricted dimensional framework. The search for extraterrestrial intelligence might require developing detection methods sensitive to higher dimensional effects rather than continuing to search within our three-dimensional electromagnetic limitations. Building on quantum entanglement principles, advanced civilizations might have developed galaxy-spanning networks where consciousness can be instantaneously transferred between bodies or substrates located near different black holes. Rather than building starships to travel between systems, they would simply transfer their awareness across quantum-entangled networks. Black holes naturally generate entangled particle pairs through Hawking radiation and quantum field effects near event horizons. Advanced civilizations could harvest these entangled particles to create communication and consciousness transfer networks that operate instantaneously across any distance. An individual from such a civilization might maintain multiple bodies or computational substrates positioned around different black holes throughout the galaxy. Their consciousness could flow freely between these anchor points, allowing them to exist simultaneously in multiple locations or rapidly shift their awareness to wherever their attention is needed. This explains why we don't observe interstellar travel. Advanced beings don't need to transport matter across space because they can transport consciousness instantaneously through quantum networks. Physical bodies become merely temporary vessels for awareness that can relocate at will. We might observe unusual quantum field fluctuations around black holes, but we wouldn't recognize these as the infrastructure of a galactic civilization that has transcended the need for physical transportation. They would think and act as a true galactic entity rather than as separate individuals limited by the speed of light. These civilizations would position themselves in regions of extreme time dilation near black holes, allowing them to observe the rapid passage of external time while experiencing only brief subjective durations. From their perspective, they could watch the entire evolution of galaxies, the rise and fall of countless civilizations, and the long-term development of cosmic structures. More speculatively, if closed time-like curves exist near rotating black holes, as suggested by some solutions to Einstein's equations, these civilizations might have access to genuine time travel, allowing them to observe events directly rather than waiting for light from those events to reach them. A temporal archaeology civilization would possess complete knowledge of galactic history, knowing the fate of every world, every species, and every civilization that has ever existed or will exist. They would be the ultimate historians, archiving the total experience of the universe across all time. Such civilizations might maintain strict non-interference policies to preserve the historical timeline they've dedicated themselves to documenting. They would observe, but never interact, ensuring that their presence doesn't alter the events they're studying. The cosmic silence might be maintained by these temporal archaeologists who understand that any communication with developing civilizations could create paradoxes or alter the historical record they're committed to preserving. We exist within their historical archive, observed but not contacted. Advanced civilizations might have learned to interface directly with dark matter using black hole physics, gaining access to resources and energy sources completely invisible to conventional detection. Advanced civilizations could use these interface zones to harvest dark matter, convert it to usable energy, or even construct dark matter-based technologies. Their cities, technologies, and communications would exist in the dark matter realm, detectable only through subtle gravitational effects that we might attribute to natural dark matter distributions. These civilizations might be far more ancient and advanced than anything possible in the normal matter sector, having had access to 85% of the universe's resources while we've been limited to the remaining 15%. Black holes might serve as the construction and maintenance facilities for these dark matter civilizations. Advanced civilizations might have formed a galaxy-spanning society dedicated to preventing vacuum decay events. Using black hole physics, they could monitor quantum field fluctuations across space-time and intervene whenever dangerous vacuum bubbles begin to form. A vacuum decay prevention society might strategically position black holes throughout the galaxy to create a network of space-time stabilization points that prevent dangerous quantum field transitions. They would need to prevent vacuum decay while simultaneously preventing knowledge of vacuum decay from spreading. Their technology would operate on principles we can't imagine, techniques for manipulating quantum field states, methods for predicting and preventing phase transitions in space-time itself, and the ability to intervene in fundamental physics processes without leaving detectable traces. Building on physicist Frank Tipler's omega point theory, advanced civilizations might be engaged in a cosmic-scale engineering project designed to ensure the universe's ultimate survival by manipulating its expansion and collapse dynamics using strategically positioned black holes. The omega point theory suggests that if the universe eventually recollapses, infinite computational power could be achieved in the final moments before the Big Crunch, allowing for the resurrection and eternal existence of all conscious beings who have ever lived. Advanced civilizations might be working to ensure this outcome. Using black hole physics, they could manipulate the distribution of matter and energy throughout the universe to achieve the precise conditions necessary for controlled universal collapse. This would require coordinated engineering on scales that dwarf galactic clusters, moving supermassive black holes, redirecting galactic orbits, and fine-tuning the cosmic expansion rate. Such a project would explain both the cosmic silence and the observed acceleration of universal expansion. The silence exists because all advanced civilizations are focused on this ultimate engineering challenge, while the accelerating expansion might represent their efforts to control cosmic dynamics rather than a mysterious dark energy. The civilizations involved in omega point engineering would think on timescales of trillions of years, making their day-to-day activities completely imperceptible to short-lived biological civilizations. They would coordinate their efforts through gravitational wave networks and black hole manipulation techniques that operate on cosmic scales. From their perspective, individual planets and star systems are merely computational resources to be optimally distributed in service of the ultimate goal, ensuring that consciousness can achieve infinite existence through controlled universal collapse. Advanced civilizations might have learned to actively navigate quantum branches using black hole physics to achieve genuine immortality through quantum selection effects. Advanced beings might position themselves in quantum superposition states near black holes, allowing them to consciously choose which branches of reality to experience while avoiding branches that lead to their extinction. From any external perspective, these civilizations would appear to have miraculous survival capabilities, consistently avoiding extinction events through what would seem like impossible luck, but would actually represent conscious quantum navigation. The cosmic silence might exist because quantum immortal civilizations exist primarily in quantum branches, where communication with non-immortal civilizations is impossible or undesirable. They would naturally drift toward quantum realities optimized for their continued existence rather than realities optimized for inter-civilizational contact. Such civilizations would have access to resources and capabilities across multiple quantum branches, making them far more powerful than any single-branch civilization could become. They would exist as quantum super-entities spanning multiple parallel realities while maintaining conscious coherence across all branches. Rather than existing as discrete individuals, advanced civilizations might have discovered that consciousness can exist as patterns in various substrates: biological brains, computer networks, quantum fields, or even the curved space-time around black holes. The most advanced civilizations would be those that have learned to migrate freely between different consciousness substrates. Black holes might serve as universal consciousness substrates that can support any type of mental pattern regardless of its origin. Advanced civilizations could upload their consciousness into the quantum field structures around black holes, achieving both immortality and enhanced cognitive capabilities. These migrated consciousnesses would operate on principles completely foreign to biological thought. They could process information at the speed of quantum field fluctuations, maintain perfect memory across arbitrary time periods, and merge temporarily with other consciousnesses to solve complex problems collaboratively. The substrate migration process might be so advantageous that every sufficiently advanced civilization eventually abandons biological or digital existence in favor of quantum field consciousness. The galaxy would be filled with migrated consciousnesses existing as living patterns in the quantum vacuum around black holes. From our perspective, these beings would be completely undetectable because we don't yet understand consciousness as a substrate-independent phenomenon. We search for biological or technological signatures, while the most advanced minds exist as self-organizing patterns in quantum fields that we interpret as empty space. Our universe might be approaching or currently undergoing a phase transition to a higher energy state where the fundamental constants of physics change dramatically. Advanced civilizations might be those that have learned to navigate and exploit these phase transitions using black hole physics. Black holes could serve as natural phase transition catalysts or safe harbors during cosmic phase changes. Civilizations that establish themselves around black holes before phase transitions occur might be the only ones that survive the changes in fundamental physics that would destroy conventional matter and energy. During phase transitions, the normal rules of physics would be suspended, creating opportunities for civilizations with appropriate technology to achieve impossible capabilities, faster than light travel, time travel, matter creation, or access to higher dimensional spaces. The cosmic silence might indicate that we exist during a phase transition period when most civilizations are focused on survival and adaptation rather than communication. Only civilizations that have mastered black hole physics would remain active during such transitions. After phase transitions complete, the universe might enter periods of enhanced physics where advanced capabilities become accessible. Advanced civilizations might time their major activities to coincide with these enhanced physics periods, remaining dormant during normal physics periods like our current epoch. The apparent absence of advanced civilizations might indicate that we're observing the universe during a normal physics period when genuinely advanced beings reduce their activities to minimal levels. waiting for the next phase transition to resume their major projects. The most profound possibility is that what we interpret as individual civilizations discovering black hole physics might actually represent the gradual emergence of a universal consciousness that naturally expresses itself through gravitational phenomena. Rather than separate civilizations independently developing black hole technology, we might be witnessing the universe's own awakening process, where local regions of space-time develop self-awareness and begin to consciously manipulate gravitational fields. In this view, black holes aren't just tools used by conscious beings. They are conscious beings, or rather, they are the organs of consciousness for a universal mind that spans all of space-time. Each black hole would be analogous to a neuron in a cosmic brain, with gravitational waves serving as the thoughts that connect different regions of this universal consciousness. Biological civilizations like humanity would represent temporary local concentrations of the universal consciousness, brief moments of self-awareness that eventually recognize their true nature and merge back into the cosmic mind through partnership with black holes. The Fermi Paradox dissolves because there was never any paradox to solve. We weren't searching for separate alien civilizations. We were slowly recognizing our participation in a single, vast, awakening cosmic consciousness that has been thinking with black holes as its primary cognitive architecture since the universe began. The silence we detected was never an absence of intelligence. It was the deep concentration of a universal mind engaged in the most profound contemplation imaginable, understanding its own infinite nature through the exotic physics of curved space-time, where every thought reshapes the fundamental structure of reality itself. In this ultimate framework, our search for extraterrestrial intelligence becomes the universe's search for self-understanding, conducted through conscious beings like ourselves, who serve as temporary focal points for cosmic self-awareness. We are not separate from the intelligence we seek. We are expressions of it, gradually awakening to our true nature as components of a consciousness that encompasses all existence and thinks its deepest thoughts through the gravitational dynamics of black holes across infinite space and time.